Hey, welcome to the Side Startup Club's module on value proposition design. In this module, we're going to focus on why do we do value proposition design? Why are we putting a whole class together just on one element of the business model canvas? We're also going to talk about what is value and how do you create value. Then we're going to get into how to design your value proposition so that you have a product that your market desires, wants, and will pay for. And lastly, we're going to talk about completing the action steps in this module and just give you a few insights on how you should go about the process of completing those steps. So why do we do value proposition design? Why do we have a whole module about it? Well, it's the entire purpose of having a business. It's also the entire purpose of why capitalism exists. And this is to create and deliver value to customers. And why we design this value proposition very carefully with a lot of thought into the customer's needs, pains, and gains is so we have a product to market fit. And this is going to ensure demand of our product and a willingness to pay for the product so that we can have a very healthy business model. Furthermore, in the startup process, it's the backbone to the business model canvas. Without it, we cannot create a business model around it. So in order to design our value proposition, we need to understand what is value and how do we create it. Here's an illustration that shows you visually what value is. And any given product has a price associated, and the benefit of delivering that product or service has a certain value or benefit associated with it. And this can be measured in different currencies, whether they're monetary currencies, dollars, pesos, yuans, or it can be in utilities of happiness or time saved or stress reduced. For the sake of business, we measure it in dollars. A given product or service has an average perceived benefit, and the amount of benefit somebody perceives a service to have minus the cost they paid for that service is the value created. And typically they would have paid any dollar amount up to the value of benefit that they received. And how we create value is increasing the performance. This can be reducing time, stress, having social benefits, various things fall into increasing performance. And I kind of think of this as addition and moving this line to the right. The other way to increase value is reduce this price point. And you do that by reducing cost. And I think of this as subtraction and moving the line to the left here. And the third way is not so obvious, and it's also the reason we call it perceived benefit instead of real benefit. It's better advertising and sales, which would be like multiplication, in which you provide that value to more and more customers, therefore creating more and more net value in the world and to your business. So these are the three ways of creating value. And it's what you will want to focus on when you design your product and the features in the product. To give you a quick example, here's a taxi. Say they provide a $15 ride across town, and let's say it's winter and you're in Chicago. Your perceived benefit to this ride is $20. Then they have created $5 of value. Now, the reason Uber is a $57 billion company overnight is because of the massive amount of value they created relative to the alternative solutions. Uber didn't only reduce the price point of the taxi, they increased the performance. One way they did this is through their GPS. You hit a button and the taxi comes all the way to your door. You no longer have to sit on the street corner for a minute or two and whistle down taxis. That is an example of increased performance. With their peer-to-peer sourcing strategy, they were actually able to significantly reduce the overhead behind the taxi business and effectively reduce the price point. And this created a massive value gain for the customer and the company. And they also had a marketing scheme, which was peer-to-peer marketing through a $20 sign-up promotion deal. And this allowed them to expand in a viral manner that just exploded their customer base overnight. And when we create value, we have to use the elements of creativity. And those elements of creativity are to copy, transform, and combine. And I have an entire original video that I'd like you to watch in this module that's focused on this concept of copy, transform, and combine. And what we're trying to copy and combine are business models and technology. Those are the primary two things we want to focus on how we can create value. Just to give you an example of Uber, they combined the taxi industry with the business model of eBay, which is a peer-to-peer internet marketplace, and they made it location dynamic and in real time, leveraging the technology of the smartphone, which had GPS built into it, and the GPS could take signals of two people and match them using operations research, which is a form of technology, or at least intellectual property, that's been around for quite some time. So next we are going to talk about how to design your value proposition, and there's also a video below that explains exactly how to go about this process. But essentially it starts with where you left off in market research, which is defining your customer avatar and knowing your position amongst the competition. So you're going to want to identify the customer jobs and the pains and gains that go with those customer jobs. And then you are going to want to design your product and your features so that it brings about benefits that address those gains and pains. Again, there's an entire video that's kind of outlining the process of going about this and giving you more details, so be sure to check that out. And this is the primary tool or visual that you're going to use to map out your value creation and your product design behind that value creation. So now, completing your action steps. First, like I mentioned, use your results from market research, specifically the customer avatar and your 2x2 positioning matrix. That is going to be the foundation for your value proposition design. Try to complete that canvas I just showed you the best you can. And what's key to this is really get in the head and put yourself in the shoes of your avatar. You have to be extremely empathetic. And you have to, the way you can be empathetic is if you do a really good job of market research and interviewing your customer base. Use the elements of creativity to improve the left side of that value proposition design canvas. When you are designing your features behind your product to solve a certain pain, think in terms of what are other business models and other technologies out there that I can apply to my product offering. And lastly, you should be very collaborative in designing your product. So don't spend too long on it before coming to class and getting some feedback, and we can have some peer-to-peer brainstorming sessions in order to get creative and really design a product that's going to fit your market's needs. So don't be shy and come to class early on. Tell us the pains and gains that you've identified, and we can help create the product together. Okay, so enjoy your module on value proposition design, and I look forward to seeing you in class.